mafefo dunia. Aliyenyu ya mandiamo dunia. Njoni jawya fadem ye jawya sinyo jugu lube jawya mandiamo ala jamfamani jamfa nsilami jamfa ya sinyo jamfa jeliya jamfa masaya jamfa dogo jamfa nsilami jamfa le.
Beyond the classroom, nationwide excursion is another way to avail students and researchers first-hand information on the academic work. On Monday, 13th April 2026, student teachers from the University of Education, the Gambia, departed Brikama on a 7-day nationwide excursion, which aims to move learning from theory to practical by giving future teachers first-hand experience of the Gambia's historical sites, bridges, and river system. Before departure, Fatoumata Fofana, the chairlady of the UEG-SES Club, states the purpose of their nationwide tour.
The journey is not only to go and have fun or to go and see the places, but to explore and to learn about the places that we are going. Because if you see the places that we are going, we are taught in schools about the places. But as teacher trainees, it's very good to go and explore, to see the places yourself, like the stone circle. If you are to teach your students about stone circle, like it will not be just on a theory aspect but also on a practical aspect. You yourself have seen stone circle and you know what is there, you know how the place is. So to teach your students about stone circle, it will be easier for you because already you've seen the place, you know what and what is there.
The trip began at the University of Education, the Gambia, Brikama campus, and made a brief stop at the Lamin Abuko Bridge, which is another historical site as far as the stoning journey is concerned.
The Lamin Abuko Bridge. Here marks the natural boundary between the western part of the West Coast region and the Kanifi municipality, Combo St. Mary. The bridge is built over the Lamin River. In the past, this river was a large and a vibrant freshwater stream. But today, the river is almost dry and can no longer support the biodiversity. This is due to human activities, such as encroachment of settlements, improper waste disposals, and deforestation. Environmental factors like climate change and sand setting has also reduced its depth and water flow.
The team then proceeded to the Abuko Nature Reserve, the Gambia's oldest protected wildlife area, established as a water catchment in 1961, gazetted as a nature reserve in March 1968 after Eddie Brewer's campaign. Inspired in 1977 Banjul Declaration by President Sadauda Kairaba Jawara to conserve flora and fauna, expanded from 77 hectares to 107 in 1978 with World Wildlife Fund support. A 1.3 kilometer square gallery forest, home to over 270 animal species, including dwarf crocodiles and western red colobus monkeys, still regulates local climate and protect water sources, but faces threats from urban encroachment and illegal dumping. By 1200 hours, the group moved to Banjul to visit Denton Bridge, a vital road linked between Banjul and Kanifi municipality across Oyster Creek, named after Sir George Chadin Denton, a British governor of the Gambia from 1901 to 1911.
Denton Bridge. It provides a vital road link between St. Mary Island, city of Banjul, and the mainland Kanifing Municipal Council across the Oyster Creek. It is within the Timberland Complex. It is in the Combo St. Mary region. It is named after Sir Chadin Denton, a former British colonial administration to the Gambia from November 1900 to January 1901. He later became the governor of the Gambia from January 1901 to December 1911.
First built in 1915 at 9 meters wide, reinforced in 1959. The bridge was decommissioned in 1968. The current 210 meters long and 20 meters wide Garda Bridge with 4 lanes was commissioned in the same year, 1986. From Denton Bridge, moving with a cheerful chant to one of the country's biggest economic hub, the Gambia Ferry Terminal. There is a ferry crossing from Banjul on the south to Bara on the north bank. The ferry service under the branch of the Gambia Ports Authority, which many depends on for daily commuting, trading, access to healthcare and education. The actual distance from Banjul to Bara is about 5 kilometers. This special magnificent ferry crossing as a packet station is an outstanding economic hub.
The Gambia Port Authority was established by an Act of Parliament called Port Act on the 1st July 1972. It was established to take over the operation and functions of Maritime Department. The core mandates of Gambia Port Authority was to operate, manage and develop port facility, adequate and standard handling of cargoes and storage.
Despite the economic significance, there are some required improvements to address inadequate vessels, technical malfunctions, safety lapses, overcrowding, and management. It is important to note that the Gambia's history cannot be shaped without recognizing the transatlantic slave trade. As a result, the researchers of the UEG deem it necessary to explore one of the country's old historical monuments, the Barra Fort Blaine, a strategic geographical location built to abolish slave trade in the Gambia. Mr. Fofana, one of the trip's coordinator and a historian, talks about the establishment of the fort.
Welcome to Fort Blank in the Gambia, located in Bara in the North Bank region of the Gambia. Fort Blank, according to records, was established in 1826. And let's look at the purpose. The purpose of establishing Fort Blank was, if you like, if you say to eradicate slave trade, eradicate may be a difficult word there, but to to suppress slave trade, if you like. That's the best suitable word there, to suppress slave trade. The purpose of it building is not only for the Gambia, it's for the entire West Africa, because you have Fort Blaine in the Gambia, you have Almina Castle in Ghana, you have West Coast Cape Coast Castle also in Ghana, and they all serve the same purposes. And you realize that after the slave trade was abolished in 1807, from 1808 to 1870, it was officially completely eradicated in West Africa. And within that period, from 1808 to 1870, 1,635 slave ships were being seized or captured. And then they were able to free 150,000 slaves in West Africa within that period. So you can see that was the main purpose of the establishment of Fort Blaine in Bara. Thank you.
Additionally, Mr. Keita emphasizes on the reasons for the relocation of the British from James Island to build a fort in Bara.
So this is Fort Bullen. As far as records are concerned, the first British settlement in the Gambia was James Island. I think you heard of James Island. But James Island, the size of James Island is very small and it's not strategically located as compared to Batos Island or Banjulo Island. So you can see Banjulo Island is here. So when the British wanted to suppress the transatlantic slave trade, they decided to relocate to Banjulo Island, because Banjulo Island is at the mouth of the River Gambia, at the estuary or the mouth of the River Gambia, so that any slave ship that was either entering or leaving would be noticed. So that was the reason for moving from James Island to Banjulo Island. And the second reason for moving to Banjulo Island is not because of its strategic location alone, it's because of also its size. If you compare Banjulo Island to James Island, which is now called Kunta Kinte Island, you will realize that Banjul is far, far, far bigger than Kunta Kinte Island. Let me just maintain Kunta Kinte, but I just want you to know the history from St. Andrews Island, James Island, Kunta Kinte Island. Is that okay? So this fort was also built here so that can be enforced. Because when you put laws in place, you must try to enforce the laws so that people will be here on guard to check on slave ships that were entering or leaving. But if they were still at James Island, they wouldn't notice some slave ships that would either be entering or leaving because it is far. It's far a bit. Is that okay? So it is here also where the Bara War also took place. I think you heard of the Bara War, uh, the Anglo-Nyomi War. In most of your books, I think you have it at 1830, 1831. The British against the people of Nyomi under the leadership of Mansa Burungai Sonko.
The team was escorted by a custodian of the fort's history to visit different places within Fort Bullen. Today, the site is a museum hosting educational exhibits about the slave trade.
To the fort is called Fort Bullen. Here was found in 1826 by the British. This fort was not built to keep slaves. Here was built to abolish slavery. When the British abolished slavery in 1807, they came to Gambia in 1815. Before settling in this fort, they were in James Island, now called Kunta Kinte Island. James Island was found in 1456, but they came there in 1815 to abolish slavery. When they were there in 1815, James Island was a less strategic location. Then you see one of their captain called Alexander Grant told them, Banjul Island at the mouth of the river is the most strategic place to locate a fort. Then they transferred to Batos in 1816. That was the next year. After transferring to Batos in 1816, then they built the 6 cannons. When you go to the State House, you will find out that there are 6 gun batteries there. Just like this one we are having here, we are having 6 of them inside the presidential palace. After mounting those cannons, when they fire the cannon, the range of the cannonball cannot come up to this side. The range of the cannonball can only go half of the sea. This sea is 4 miles. When they fire from Banjul, the range can only go 2 miles. Then the other 2 miles was empty. That was this side. Then the American ships were coming closer to this area. They go to James Island. That's the way to James Island. They come closer and they escape. When they did that for about 10 years, then you see Alexandra told them again, if we want to control the river mouth, we must have another fort at the opposite side. This was the reason why they came here. Then they came here and they met with the king. He was called Brungai Sonko. After meeting him, then they signed the first treaty. After signing the treaty, one of their agreement was any ship coming in will be paying to the king 20 pounds. At the beginning of it, they were paying him 20 pounds, but you see later it was reduced from 20 to 10, 10 to 5. That was one of the reasons of the barrow. The barrow had many reasons, but you see that was one of it. But the immediate reason was the 2 drunken men. But you see now building the 2 military positions helped them to abolish slavery in the Gambia. Because that's the mouth of the river. It's the only way for the in and out of the country by the river. Then you see building the 2 military positions helped them to abolish slavery in the Gambia. Do you get me? Yes. If a ship was coming, they would not fire direct to each other because 2 miles, 2 miles, that's 4 miles. Do you understand? Banjul will fire one at the front of the ship and Bara fires one at the back. See, those firings, they are warning. If the ship was moving, then the ship have to stop. When the ship stops, the British soldiers will use the bar gate, will go down to the sea, will take their skates, they go up to the ship, and they collect all the slaves. After collecting the slaves, they will use the bar gate again. There will be a soldier standing, and you see that soldier will write their names. After writing their names, those slaves have to be here for a week or a month. Then you see they were gathered again. Then you see they were taken to Sierra Leone, that's Freetown. Because Sierra Leone was the only country that they take them there, then they were free. They were scared that if they leave them back to the village, maybe they can be catch as slaves again. That was how slavery was stopped in the Gambia. Do you get me? Yeah. Then the second thing about these forts is, in 1862, during Maba Jahuba's war, these forts served as a refugee camp. Then the third thing about this fort is also, during the Second World War, this fort was renovated again by the British soldiers. Because the British soldiers, they just have on their mind that maybe the government in France could command Senegal to attack the Gambia. Then they came here and they renovated everything. In case of any attack from Senegal, then they will respond. But there was no attack from Senegal. Do you get me? Then the fourth thing about this fort is also, during the Second World War, this fort was used as a training ground. Half of the Gambian soldiers who went to the Burma War, that's the Second World War, were trained in this fort. Then the fifth thing about this fort is, this fort became under the World Heritage Site. That's UNESCO in 2003. It was just a briefing for you guys to have a little bit knowledge about the fort. From here now, we have to have a tour, then we go around. Yeah, there is still a ball inside. You can have a look. Yeah, that's the torch hole where I light it up. That's the torch hole where I light it up. They will first put the gunpowder, and they will be pushing it up to around the mouth. Then they close it with the ball. After closing it with the ball, they will just use just like the thread from the candle, just put it in and they just light it up. That's the way they fire it. Do you get me? Okay.
So what is the name of it again?
This is called a cannon. Yeah.
Around 3:30 p.m., the team left the ground of Bara for another attractive historical site, the North Bank region. Historically, the area was dominated by fishing and agricultural communities, later dominated by Mandinka settlers from the east. The North Bank was a crucial area of negotiation and conflict resolution between local rulers and the British colonial powers, largely due to its strategic position controlling the estuary. The Freedom Flagpole, which symbolizes a refuge where slaves could gain freedom if they reach it. Today, it houses a museum of slavery named the Old Morel Building, established in 1996, and is a major tourist destination for visitors exploring the history of the slave trade in West Africa. The village is now often visited alongside Jufre as part of tours regarding the history of transatlantic slave trade.
French and the English, when they have a war because of the enslavement in Gambia here, they turned this name of this village to be called Albreda. And the French people call it Albadar. From here to the island behind you, there is 3 kilometers. And this is where you have the Freedom Flagpole behind you with that cannon there. If a slave will manage to swim from the island 3 kilometers, when you touch that pole, you are set free. You are no more a slave. This is what the Europeans did to the Africans. The statue there behind me was built in 1996 by a Gambian artist called Comrade Silla at the first edition of the Root Festival, which was being celebrated here with the former president Yahya Jammeh. So the arch is a welcoming arch. When you talk about enslavement, we all know the River Gambia, which become an attraction to the traders. The first traders were the Carthaginians, Alvisto from Italy to Spain, which has involved some of our local kings, those who are holding that big empires like Mali Empire, Ghana Empire, and the Songhai empires. After the collapse of those empires in Africa here, the river was first exploited by the Portuguese people 1455. Prince Henry de Gomes, Prince Diego de Gomes, Alvisto Cadamosto himself, when they first landed in the Gambia here, they first exploited an island here called Dog Island. When they abandoned the island because the destruction of the baboons and the chimpanzees, they threw stones on them because they are not used to their white skin colors. Alvisto Cadamosto, Andrew decided to sail 18 miles where he settled on that beautiful island you see behind us. This island was 4 times bigger than the size you are seeing today. This is a global warming. The sea level is increasing. Most part of the island is in the water already, but they are not disappeared. They are just sitting on the water. The island was named after Sandy Munku Joyo, one of our excellent fishermen in a small village here called Sika, who used to use the island as a resting point of fishing. When these Portuguese people intervened on the island, he ran away from the island. The island was surviving with a name called St. Andrew Island. This is a natural island. Nobody built the island. The fort on the island was built in 1651 by Latvians. They are known to you as Duke of Corlan. It was before the colonization. The island was taken by the English in 1661, and the English people named the island King James II. They call it James Island. That is what is in your history book today. This island was used for 5 years. The island was been taken by the French people, the Dutch people, sorry, in 1702. They used the island for 5 years. They left the island because of the British, and they went and enslaved the Surinams and the Maroons. Gambia, Senegal was one country. We are split from Senegal in 1681. That's why Gambia was small 3 times in Senegal. Gambia was up to Kaula before, where they produce salt. The French people built that house, 18th century. That was their trading post where they were bringing goods like tobacco, salt, iron bars, sugar, mirrors, and they exchanged with the slaves. The island was attacked by the Spanish again in 1708. It was like a best strategy location point. Every nationality want to control that island if you can want to enslave your slaves. 400 years of enslaving Africans. They are not sick and tired of it. Until when slavery was first stopped in Denmark, 1803, 1804. Thomas Clarkson became an instrument to stop slavery, but he was not a recognized member in the British Parliament. He formed a group of humanitarians, William Wilberforce, Wilberforce. They stopped slavery 1807. But look, we Africans, you have to do more research. When these Europeans are giving us a wrong statistic, telling us 15 to 20 million slaves were taken from Africa, which is very wrong. End of slavery 1807, what they did, 53 slaves were on the island there. Where are the people now? They asked them if you can swim 3 kilometers to touch that pole, when they knew we cannot swim at that time. Dead bodies are resting in the bottom of the river for nothing.
The Babili Mansa Bridge. Along the 487 kilometers of the River Gambia within the Gambia, there are 7 main tributaries. One of those creeks is the Miniminiang Bolong, which forms a natural boundary between Jokadu Dasilame and Badibu Kerewan. This bolong has a length of 130 kilometers and a depth of about 5 to 6 feet, with ferry service to connect both banks.
This is the Miminiang Bolong. So you can see that this marks the boundary between Jokadu, and Badibu. So this place, prior to the construction of this bridge, it used to be a ferry crossing point that linked Badibu and Jokadu. So now that when this bridge was erected, the ferry services stopped because of the bridge. So the name of the bridge is called Babile Mansa Bridge. This is the reason why former President His Excellency AJ Jame is called Babile Mansa, because the meaning of, when you look at the meaning of Babili Mansa, is a Mandinka word. Ba in Mandinka simply means river. You can see the river, the mini Bolong. This is a river. That is Ba. Bili. Bili simply means to construct. So Ba Bili. Mansa means ruler. So if you join these 3 words, it simply means that the ruler who has constructed a bridge over a river. Ba Bili Mansa, or the ruler who has erected or built a bridge over a river.
In the late hours of the evening, the team headed to Farafenyo Lower Basic School, passing significant places of Badibu such as Kerewan, Saba, Sikunda, and the likes. They reached at the town of Farafenyo, where they had a night stop. In the second day of the journey, the researchers went to visit the Farafenni border post, another historical landmark that separates the Gambia from Senegal.
Alinya we are mafifo, dunia. Alinya we are mandiamo, dunia. Njolu nyawiya, fadem nyawiya, sinyo jugu lube nyawiya, mandiamo ala. Jamfamani, jamfa, nsilami jamfa ye, sinyo jamfa. Jeliya jamfa, masaya jamfa, dogo jamfa, nsilani jamfa le, aliyenjoya. Ibela la mumina wayitinya, illa kamusamena jamfa futura. Illa takemena jamfa futura. Illa tamomena ibuno faye. Illa sikire faye. Sama somandala itinya jamfan silani jamfale.
We are currently at the border between the Gambia and Senegal. This is an official border between the Gambia and Senegal at Farafenni Poste Ker Ayub. Behind us is the Gambian border officials, the immigration, the police, the customs that are in charge of border operations. We all know the border is a very, very important part of every country because it marks the international boundary of that country with a neighboring country. The Gambia being a country that has only one neighbor, which is Senegal. This border at Farafenni Ker Ayub is very, very vibrant because it links central Senegal towards the north and that of the southern part of Senegal called Casamance. That is why, as you can see, there is free fast flow of transportation of goods, peoples and services across this border.
Kauru is the most prominent town in Lower Salom district, Central River Region North, set on the River Gambia. It serves as a vital river port, local administrative center, and educational hub. Kauru's deep water port gives it strong potentials as a sub-regional economic hub.
We are currently at the Kaur ferry terminal. This is a ferry terminal where the ferry plies between Kaur in Lower Salum district of Central River Region North and the Nyaminas, specifically Jisadi and Jareng. This ferry mostly plies weekly, every Thursday, from Jareng. It has a picking point at Jisadi, across the River Gambia, to come to the north bank of the River Gambia at Kaur. It mostly plies on a Lumo day, that is Thursday. This, we are currently at the middle course of the River Gambia. Kaur is a very important strategic location of the River Gambia, because the depth of the River Gambia can sustain or can allow many ocean going vessels that can harbor at Banjul. They can be able to sail along the River Gambia up to this point all throughout the year. There are certain parts of the River Gambia where big river vessels can only ply to those points during the raining season when the volume of the water is very high. But at Kaur, it can sustain big river vessels throughout the year. That is why, as planned and predicted during the PPP government, Kaur is supposed to be an entry port, a big river port that would serve the interior of the Gambia, Senegal Oriental, Mali, and some parts of Guinea Conakry and Guinea Bissau. If that comes into realization, it will really boost the economy of the Gambia as a result of the profit that would be obtained from the export trade. Here is supposed to be a export hub with railway services that will be able to take cargo from the Gambia to other parts of the sub-region. This part of the River Gambia, at some parts of the season, the water is salty. Around this time, if you taste the water, it is fresh water. That depends on the nature of the mouth of the River Gambia and the tides of the ozone. Sometimes during the dry season, when the level of water in the River Gambia is very low as a result of the evaporation rate and diversion for agriculture, irrigation, farming, the level of water along the River Gambia will be low. As a result of tidal influence around the mouth of the River Gambia, the salt water from the ozone will push the fresh water back, and this part of the River Gambia will become salty. But during the raining season, when the volume of water in the River Gambia is high, the amount of fresh water will be very high and it will push back salt water. This part of the River Gambia becomes fresh water. That is why the flood plains along the banks of the River Gambia that are made up of alluvial flood plains are very, very viable for agriculture, mainly rice cultivation. Thank you so much.
Kaur, it consists of three major towns or wards: Janakunda, Turekunda, and Wharf Town. Kaur was the place where the Senegambia Confederation was signed in 1981. It lasted for 7 years, then it collapsed in 1989. Kaur consists of a major groundnut processing board, which is the GPMB, Gambia Produce Marketing Board. It requires the export and the transport of groundnuts within the Gambia. The river is used for both transportation and for trade, because people use the ferry to cross across so many places within the Gambia. Example, we use this river to cross to go to Dankunku. This is a ferry crossing point where most of the people use to do their export and transport of goods and services. Kaur, Kaur has a busy marketing day, locally called Lumo, in every Thursdays.
Alinya wiya mafefa dunia.
In 1949, the colonial government established the Gambia Oilseed Marketing Board to process groundnut. It became the Gambia Produce Marketing Board in 1971, producing oil, fertilizer, animal feed, and soap. Its affiliate, Belga Mills, made charcoal briquettes. from groundnut sales. European firms like CFAO, Vezia, and United Africa Company also operate here. In 1993, GPMB became National Groundnut Corporation, now the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation.
We are currently at a site that is referred to as National Food Security Corporation. This place was founded by the Colonial Ordinance Act of 29, number 29 of the Colonial Ordinance Act. It was founded in 1949 by the British government. When it was founded in 1949, it was called Oil Seeds Processing Corporation. Oil Seeds Processing Corporation. It was established to be able to process groundnuts into various products. It has been serving that function until in 1971. When we became a republic in 1970, the then PPP government changed the name to Gambia Produce Marketing Board with the same functions, similar functions, but with added operational services. It was acting as Gambia Produce Marketing Board from 1971, processing groundnut into groundnut oil, fertilizer, chicken feeding, soap, and even an affiliated company called Belgamil who was processing the groundnut cells into charcoal called briquettes. Until in 1993 when the name was changed to Gambia Groundnut Corporation. And again, of recent, the name has transformed to National Food Security Corporation. That is the side we are at Kaur. Kaur has the potentials of becoming a regional economic hub with affiliated industries that could be established here on site. We have a personnel that will take us around to tell us some of the things that they do currently and how it emerged through various stages with different names.
You understand? As you can see, he just pulled this rope. After, when the granite is already been processed in this area, here is where it is stored, and this will be open for the tractors. Do you understand? This will be open for the tractors. You see how it opens? When they open it, so the granite will come, the processed granite will come down. Do you understand? In the tractor, and it will weigh the amount of the balance or the kilos that it weighs. Do you understand? He said this is as a result because many farmers they find it very difficult. When you go to the market, for instance, when you are a businessman, you want to buy ground, you go to the market, you buy granules that are full of what sands. Do you understand? That are not at quality. But when you pass through this area, you understand, you are assured that you will be served with quality food. He said if you have, if you can remember, they said farmers have they don't make many profits because this was the place that have the problem. There was no quality assurance. That's the reason why the farmers could not make a lot of profits in the side of groundnut. Yeah, he said now we head into the store now.
Okay, these are the corticated, pounded. Huh? Okay. Okay, this is what they use for charcoal. Huh? Yes, biscuit. Yes, they use this for charcoal. They can use it for fertilizer. They can use it for animal feeding, and they can use it for many other products. Huh? So we see groundnut is a very, very valuable agricultural produce that we can make a lot of benefits from. Yes, currently here is the river port of Kaur. This river port has been built. It started as a colonial wharf during the days of British colonial rule. They built this port as a groundnut collecting center to the coast around Banjul at Saro. From the colonial days, it has been reinforced and fortified, and it has been advanced. Currently, this lies the hope of the Gambia in opening the Gambia as a re-export trade, because at this site most of the ocean-going vessels that could harbor at Banjul could sail along the River Gambia up to this length. So therefore, if this port is fully utilized, it can serve as an entry port for the Gambia. This entry port will serve eastern Senegal region of Tambacounda, Kundara region of Guinea Conakry, Mali, and even in some cases it can even serve the people of Burkina Faso. Now you can see this area is the middle course of the River Gambia. You can see the wider V-shaped valley. We can see the river cliff over there in Balanar, and we can see the sharp bends which serve as meanders, which are manifestations of the middle course of the River Gambia. Over there, that is the branch which that's a braided stream area with branches into two main channels. The other one that goes to the right goes to the Nyamina end. These are the area leading to Jareng. The other end still forms the main channel of the River Gambia, which sails through, and later they reconnect at Karalwaf area, which serves as one of the biggest islands along the River Gambia. As we can see, the potentials of the River Gambia are so vast, but they are not harnessed. Much research has not been done along the River Gambia. Most of the belongs of the River Gambia are not yet known as of now because of inadequate research along the River Gambia. We cannot even say the amount of belongs, how many belongs are along the River Gambia within the territorial waters of the Gambia. This is a trend which must not continue. Educationists, academics, and researchers can take up the challenge for us to be able to realize the actual potentials of the River Gambia, so that we will be able to harness them for them to be utilized for the general good of the Gambia. It's a valuable resource that is underutilized by Gambians because there is insufficient amount of research that is conducted along the River Gambia. It is not only vital for tourism and transportation, but there are vast potentials that can be exploited to generate income and make Gambia strategically an economic hub for the sub-region.
Today, Kaur has three main wards: Janekunda, Wharf Town, and Turekunda. Its bustling Thursday Lumo draws traders from across the region as a former British protected groundnut trading center.
We are on a plateau in Kaur, very magnificent sight. As I stand on the pit of this plateau, I make recollections to that of the monument in Dakar. If the Senegalese can be innovative, can be creative, and transform that hill in the middle of a city to an economic hub, the daily earnings of that monument in the middle of Dakar is really huge. We have a similar one in the Gambia, yet unexploited, better situated and strategic than that of the hill in Dakar. This is an avenue that we are calling out to all Gambians who want to invest in this country to reduce the unemployment rate of the youths. The Kaur Plateau is one of the sites where investors can come. People who have interest in tourism, community tourism, ecotourism. As you stand on this plateau, you directly face the River Gambia towards the east, clearly viewing the interesting meanderings of the middle course of the River Gambia. You can view over settlements on the other bank of the River Gambia in Nyamina. You can clearly view down the flooded alluvial plains on the banks of the River Gambia that are unexploited. I am calling on all Gambians. Look at the valley, open valley, with rich alluvial soils. I therefore call on all Gambians who are interested in Gambians' welfare to invest in this future. It can be a resort, it can be a hotel, it can be a camp that is very interesting. This will also boost the economic viability of the River Gambia. The River Gambia that is being underutilized. Boat trips, tourist boats and ships will be coming to this area to lodge at this site. Tourism is not only about five-star hotels in the city or in the metropolitan area. These areas of the Gambia can be explored and they can be very vibrant internationally. So let's look into the interior of the Gambia and exploit some of the features that can bring about great economic gain and youth employment of our country.